Hello everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play of Blades of Avernum. Last episode, well, we managed to escape the beast, the wars, and everything. Norin sacrificed his life, and we made it to Amon Sul. However, things are very bleak. Everyone's tired, everyone is exhausted, we're all frostbitten, we have no food. Captain Ainsley is delusional from the illness. This is a bad situation. That said, we need to search here for supplies. It's cold down here, so I'm going to use this fire drought. The potion doesn't seem to have any effect. It's too cold. Hold on, I'm going to reload. If it doesn't have any effect, I'm not even going to bother using it. So let's go. Sergeant Burden gathers you all for some last-second instructions. Okay, we all know what the plan is. Scout, gather any supplies and get back here before our strength completely gives out. Perhaps when we gather back, we will have some food and medicine, or something to work with. It's a risk. There's a great chance that someone will collapse somewhere by himself, and nobody will be strong enough to bring him back. Splitting the group up might be a mad scheme, but desperate times call for desperate measures. So don't do anything stupid and prove that I was wrong to do this. Just get any supplies and get out. Rendezvous back here at the fire. That is all. You are dismissed. Each team flies out down its corridor, leaving you with a north passage as instructed. No point in waiting around. So weird for the north corridor. We need some light. Erasmus had said this tower was abandoned hundreds of years ago, and all you've seen here has supported this. This makes what you see in this room all the more surprising. The dim light of dying lasers flicker and refract around the room. Somehow a few of the power sources here have survived and are still functioning, if at a bit less than 100%. What is shocking and disturbing about this scene isn't, however, that the machinery is hundreds of years old. Rather, it is the strange black creatures that crowd around the center console. The creatures are like nothing you've seen before. They are twisted and misshapen, with strange and seemingly useless appendages branching off from everywhere. Their arms branch off into a series of long, delicate tentacles, with which they grasp the machinery. Aren't sure what they are doing, but from the light pulsing through them, you'd say they are somehow absorbing its energy. Whatever it is, they don't like being interrupted. The hulking beasts turn their frightening gazes upon you and begin advancing. For their awkward appearance, they exhibit surprising speed and dexterity. Wow. That is rough. How are we going to get through this? We know where we need to go, but we have more mountain holly. Oh. That was the medical supplies we were given. Well, we don't have much that we can use. And we have healing poultices. We'll need to use them. Drains all statuses. How wonderful. Fires off that okay, that's the one we need to kill. That one's the worst. On the plus side, at least we know about what's going on here. Ow. That was the wrong place to go. Alright, I know what to do now. Try this again. need to drink this. This is rough, but I'm sure we can get through this. Try again. Alright, drink that. There's another. There's another. There we go. Oh, I didn't see there was another one there. Okay. Wonderful. I mean, on the plus side, I know about these things. On the minus side, this is a very difficult area. Drink the healing poultice. The healing poultice did not help me out at all. It was a waste. This is difficult. We'll find our way through here somehow. Great, slowed. We're gonna be destroyed here. Okay, try again. We'll make it through here yet. Just don't have many potions. God damn it. Berg. We will get through this, damn it. Need to drink the rejuvenation elixir. Okay, that was the wrong place to go. There is a door at the other end, but with that creature there, there's no way of knowing what is in the middle there. This is frustrating. Alright. Those lasers don't really make it much easier. Alright, here we go. have to stick with the side door. We don't really have any other option here. And much as I wanted to save up, we kind of need... There, that'll help us hit more often. And defense will help us actually be able to move. Alright, drink that. There. We'll have to stay away from the central console then, as we just hit. And it found us. God damn it! Urgh! That thing is just... so frustrating. Okay. There. The last of the strange beasts dies. This place is apparently more than a tower basement to have all this machinery. You can't think of any explanation than a magical laboratory. Well, what the hell were those creatures? They must have been living down here for hundreds of years, and apparently they feed off the magical energy of the machinery. You turn to look at one of the machines in question. The center console occasionally sends a beam of energy flickering up through the ceiling. There's enough power for the machinery to run, kind of, now that those creatures are gone. You stare at the flashing beam of energy, but can't think of any practical use it could be put to. You feel exhausted from your fight with those creatures. Not the physical tiredness you'd been already feeling, but a deep malaise that seems to drain your soul. I guess we can look to the north. At least we got through. Let's see what's to the north here. Oh, that's a dead end. I don't have much light here. Looks like another one of these. It seems that the only thing in this tower that hasn't succumbed to time is the machinery here. It is surprisingly durable, probably more so than the walls themselves. And just as at the other magical machinery, a crowd of the strange black creatures has gathered here too. They reach out with dark tendrils towards the machinery, and a blue-white glow gathers at the tips and spreads back towards their bodies. You're reminded of a group of diners sharing a soda. The creatures abruptly cease their drinking when they see you. You remember the drained feeling you had after your last encounter with these creatures. Definitely not looking forward to another showdown. Okay, not the way I want to go. At least we know of it. Okay, this collapsed stairway once led to somewhere in the tower above. Now it is completely ruined. Nothing can come in or out of here except moonlight and cold mountain air. Right, that was a dead end. What's this? An unidentified scroll. This tome is a journal and research log kept by a man by the name of Lionel, who apparently was an important researcher here. The words are written in scratchy, spidery handwriting, and to make matters worse, the pages are old and faded. It is, however, still legible with some effort. Everything seems intact, just not necessarily clear. Read on. Evermoon 30 of the year 616. I observed an interesting phenomenon in the laboratory this evening. I was invited down to observe a demonstration of a field inversion, a rather novel practice that was basically stumbled on during an anti-magic field mishap. A normal magic field, as we know, is a heavy concentration of magical energy in an area, so heavy that it takes on a physical presence, whether in the form of heat, electricity, or just raw magical force. An inverted field, however, is not the presence of magical energy, but rather the complete absence of it. Energy in the area is drawn to the low concentration to fill the gap. Apparently, some misinformed wizard attempted to create an anti-magic field by draining all the magic from an area, rather than simply disrupting spells by putting static energy in an area. The result was an inverted field, which earned the poor chap a nasty headache. The demonstration I saw was more stable than that first accident, but still unimpressive since the field quickly drained the source maintaining it and collapsed. However, the theory is that a sustained inverted field would draw an unlimited source of energy, significantly greater than energy than was put into the system to begin with. Seems a solid enough idea to me. Unfortunately, theory and reality don't seem to be seeing eye to eye here. Okay, I had to read that again, but it's kind of interesting. Read on. Remembrance 2 of the year 617. The researchers working on the inverted field seemed no closer to putting it to any useful purpose. They established a field inversion and then linked it to some machinery in an attempt to keep the field at a permanent level of zero energy. Well, technically it worked. The field pulled in energy, which the machinery consumed just as quickly, creating a constant state of zero energy in the field. Unfortunately, it would take a few centuries of draining to recoup the energy required to establish the field, and another few centuries to gather enough energy to do anything useful with it. Relying on free energy in the air just isn't efficient. The concentration isn't high enough to do anything. When the same machine was placed near a field generator or fed by a researcher, it powered the attached piston easily. Unfortunately, doing that is just moving energy from one piece of machinery to another, not actually harnessing new energy. Proposed ideas for batteries, wands, and other items don't seem any more promising. Remembrance 14. I'm still between projects, so I've been floating around the facilities the last few weeks. Today I floated into Wizard Torvald's lab, one of our most respected biologists, and brought up the inverted fields to him. We started discussing various ways it could prove useful, since the researcher's dreams of a perpetual motion machine or a mobile power generator was proving to be just that, a dream. We came up with some interesting ideas, but most weren't practical. It wasn't until Torvald mentioned in passing the concept of a creature that radiated inverted fields that things really got interesting. I asked him if it were possible, a creature that lived in such a volatile field, constantly absorbing energy from its surroundings. He said he couldn't see why not. This certainly bears thinking about. I can feel a great idea forming already. Oh no, I see where this is going. Remembrance 16. After another enlightening conversation with Torvald, I made up my mind to pursue our idea. Even a discouraging conversation with Wizard Andrews, the head of the team researching field inversions, has not dissuaded me. I will pursue this idea even if I must do so on my own, since Andrews remains intent on the perpetual motion idea. I checked out every biology tome in the library and have been studying them tirelessly. I'm too excited to sleep. Taking a break to write this entry is the only rest I will afford myself. I must put the pen down now. Beckett's chemotrophs and cellular respiration calls to me. Leaf Loss 5. I believe that I finally have the design for the inversion-powered creature. With the help of Torvald, I have the creature's cellular structure mapped out. The frame and shape the creature will take is that of a human, only slightly altered for some new organs specifically designed to be able to establish and hold an inverted field. I'm going to construct it tomorrow. Hopefully all goes well. Icefall 4. I finally have a living disruptor, as I have dubbed my creation. It only took a few dozen tries, but it's done. I'm looking at the batch of disruptors floating in their nourishment cells even as I write this. Magnificent. Tomorrow I will disconnect one from the power feed that is sustaining them. If I was truly successful, it will be able to live off energy absorbed from external sources, like machinery, or even spells. Icefall 5. Failure. The first disruptor I removed from its tank died in a matter of minutes once cut off from its power source. For later specimens, I brought large generators from which they could draw energy. The result was even worse, ranging from bursting into flames to simply collapsing. The uneven energy flow is too much. Even a small spike in power will kill one. I lost the entire batch this way, and now I'm back to the drawing board. This design is flawed, and I can't sleep until I fix it. Icefall 23. Batteries! In retrospect, the idea is so obvious, but for days it eluded me. After failed attempt after failed attempt, I have struck on the solution. The disruptors need battery cells to store energy, so that they can live away from a source of magic for extended times. Also, it can serve as a capacitor to keep spikes in energy from destroying the creature. I'll have to start all over from the ground up, since the humanoid body type doesn't allow any room for the large battery organs I have in mind. I have a lot of work ahead. Evermoon 34. It worked! My hand shakes as I write this. I am so excited. My disruptor will win no beauty contest, but it is completely functional, and will survive independent of its nourishment cell. I need to celebrate. I need to tell Torvald. No time for writing. Remembrance 12. Last week I showed my findings to Director Jamison and some other select researchers. The disruptor knocked him off his feet. He assigned some researchers to my project and granted me the use of Lab 3 for use in my work. Finally, I have some decent equipment and some manpower to perform more menial tasks. A great triumph, but there is more to be done. And I swear, if another person asks me why my disruptor must be so disfigured or some such nonsense, I'll snap. Radian 3. Director Jameson hasn't been by the lab in weeks. Seems everybody is much more interested in the cryoprev project than those hideous disruptors. 3 of my staff have been reassigned to the cryoprev project already. Despite all the work we've done, we go unappreciated. I will have a conference with Jameson tomorrow. Radian 22. Jameson as much as told me yesterday that in light of cryoprev's amazing potential, I'd be on my own again as everybody is being reassigned. I begged him to let me keep my lab, and he eventually conceded. After all I've done, all my success, all my hard work, this is what I'm reduced to. Begging for lab space. Empire 4. The recent adversity has only strengthened my resolve to succeed. My ideas are sound, the disruptors will be a success. I've moved my quarters to be adjacent to my lab, and I have hardly even took the brief time to leave the lab to sleep. I've just put my head down and grabbed brief rests here and there. This will be my last entry for a while, my schedule does not allow for it. Icefall 22 of the year 617. I've heard reports that something has gone wrong above, something to do with the cryoprev, but hadn't paid it any more heed than any other news that somehow reaches me here in my isolated lab. But apparently it's quite serious. Jameson called me to my office to pitch my disruptor idea again. Apparently he was actually ready to scrap the cryoprev project. Either I'm a great salesman, or he simply had no alternative, because I now have half the facility working for me. They have a lot of catching up to do. The disruptors have progressed by leaps and bounds these last months. Empire 1 of the year 619. Just when my research team was finally getting used to working together and actually knowledgeable about the subject matter to be of use, something goes and disrupts everything. Finally, we've gotten beyond the stage where everybody is amazed by the disruptor's most insignificant accomplishments. I guess they all assumed I was twiddling my thumbs while they were working on cryoprev. Anyway, I digress. The mines above us is closed, and the Empire has departed. Seems most of the researchers are going to remain behind, and this means that just about everybody once assigned to mining projects is now working for me. Oh well, more oohs and ahs over a creature that can absorb a fireball. Maybe in a month the newcomers will be doing something useful as well. Leaf Loss 15. The disruptor's absorption and magical sensitivity has reached a point where I honestly believe no improvement to be possible. I've left the others in charge of any more advances in this area, and am myself looking into more important matters. Specifically, intelligence. The creature's brain structure is not particularly developed, but I think with training and a little more biological engineering, higher intelligence is possible. This means I've spent a lot of time with my children, as I've started to think of them, pitting them against various puzzles. They can solve problems and obey the orders we feed them via magic waves, but they can't communicate back, or display any reasoning or feelings. Frost 32. We are so close. Without thinking, I mentioned last week about going public with our findings, and since then the place has been abuzz with it. Now, however, one more roadblock has appeared. This one seems so trivial. The issue of how much danger the disruptors pose to use, as wizards, arose. I assured everybody that they are completely loyal, but then the issue of, but who are they loyal to, arose. I have tried to put these fears to rest, but they keep surfacing. Evermoon 14. Things have reached a breaking point. Everyone is weary of one another, and even more weary of the disruptors. I had to agree to place them in stasis for now, or I'd be facing open rebellion. I refuse to give up. Others can come or go as they please. I will stay regardless. My hands are still shaking. I can hardly believe what just happened. I was administering the logic test to a specimen as usual, just for the sake of escaping from the conflict and returning to my routine of the last few months. I was allowing my thoughts to wander. I wasn't at all focused. Then suddenly I realized that I was still conducting the logic tests. I hadn't been sending the instructions via our wave emitter, but I was conducting them nonetheless. That wasn't the odd thing, though. It was that the disruptor was still answering the questions. How it knew the commands I don't know, but I jumped up and left immediately. I can hardly write, I'm so jittery. I should have foreseen it. The creatures are so in tune to energy waves, magical or electric, that they can sense brain waves. I don't know how accurately they can do it, or if the perceived mind reading was really just my imagination. No, I have to call off the project. I won't tell anybody why. It'd cause a panic. I'll tell Director Jamison that I agree with the others and the project is off. It wasn't my imagination. I'm sure it happened. Evermoon 30. Everybody has departed. I'm alone here, alone with the disruptors. I've been struggling to decide what to do since that day in the lab. After all I've done, all the work, sacrifice, sleepless nights, how can I destroy the creatures I started thinking of as my children? I can't, but I have to. That is my dilemma. There's nothing for it but to destroy them. I'm going to the stasis cells to see them one last time, to see the creations that I did too good a job at, that I made so good they're dangerous. But I will destroy them. You were so absorbed in your reading that you were beginning to forget about your frozen limbs and weary muscles. Indeed, you were so engrossed in Lionel's tale that you hadn't noticed a creature approaching behind you until the last moment. That was quite a tale. So, these creatures are disruptors. They absorb magical energy. I don't see what the point was, except to make an area that was resistant to magical efforts. Like to stop mages or the like. Protect areas from mages. But still. Obviously, his efforts to destroy the disruptors failed. He probably died in the process, or couldn't do it. I don't know. Either way, now we know what we're dealing with. Maybe if we can shut off the power, but they run on batteries, that wouldn't work. Wait a minute. It said something about this machinery powering something, so maybe if we can destroy all of them, it would power up whatever is going on here, and stop the draining of our energy, of our health, or something. Regardless, we need to find some medical supplies somewhere. Hopefully I'm on the right side. I'm going to have to end this episode here. It's gone on long enough. Next episode, we'll do some more hunting, see if we can find something. Till then, I am Chesic44. That is Vincent. This has been a Blades of Avernum Let's Play, and I shall see you all next time.